Okay, so we have a big breaking news coming out. Please share this video. Today is March 10, 2025, and welcome to the Real GS News channel. Guys, before I start, give this video a big thumbs up, and once again, thank you so much for your support. So we're going to start with this one here. More than 30 countries, 30 nations hold Paris talks on security force for Ukraine. US not invited. Military officials from over 30 countries are meeting in Paris to discuss a European-led security force for Ukraine aimed at deterring future Russian offensive after a potential ceasefire. Now, information is coming out, guys. It seems like possibly 30 countries are going to send soldiers. Peacekeepers only, not like for like WWE stuff. Now remember, Russia said they're not going to allow that to happen. If they're going to send soldiers in Ukraine, then it's going to be a huge biblical war. All right, so we're going to see what's going on here, guys, and please share the video. Let me show you some of the stuff here. You have Secretary of State Rubio said Ukraine must cede territory to Russia to end war. Negotiation with Moscow needed. All right, so very important meeting took place today. We have all the information. Donald Envoy, Steve Witkoff, to meet Vladimir in Moscow. Zelensky, in a letter to Donald. I'm sorry-ish. I'm sorry. Donald, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for yelling. I'm sorry for acting like that. And guess what happened? Boom! Twitter got hit. They got hit with the biggest cyber strike ever. Elon is like, hey, this is like the biggest one. We get hit every day, but this hit right here is the biggest one. And so they did, Elon and his team, a few hours later, they came out and say, hey, we know who caused the cyber strike on my platform, and that was Ukraine. So while Zelensky was telling the Donald, I'm sorry, Elon got hit with the biggest cyber strike on his platform ever. All right, so we're going to see what's going on here, guys. Do me a favor, subscribe, hit that notification bell. For those of you that want to send us letters, a prayer request, you send it to me, US Santiago, or my wife, Jessica Santiago. My address is highlighted in yellow. And for those of you that want to help and support the channel, the links is in the description box. All right, let's see what's going on here. So you have France and Britain are leading the effort, pushing for a coalition of nations able and willing to provide military support. All right, so France and Britain are the two top dogs. They basically, the leaders, forget about the sleeping giant. We are out of here. All right, France and Britain are leading the effort, pushing for a coalition of nations able and willing to provide military support. The sleeping giant was not invited. Man. With European nations wanting to show they can handle post-war security in Ukraine. Once again, you have NATO countries along with Japan, South K, Australia, and New Zealand are participating while Ukraine sends a high-level defense official. The force could include heavy equipment and rapid deployment units. Ooh, deployment units, there you go. But political leaders will decide which countries take part. Wow. All right, so we do have the full information. Let me just show you some of this stuff before we get to the full article. All right, so you have the Secretary of State Rubio says Ukraine will have to give up land taken by the bear since 2014 as part of any peace deal, making it clear that military victory is not realistic. Now, it says here, speaking en route to Saudi Arabia for talks with Ukrainian officials, Rubio stressed that both sides must make concessions to bring the war to a close. Now, Donald administration halted military aid to Ukraine after Zelensky Oval Office blow-up with the Donald, rejecting Kiev demands for security guarantees. That would go down in the history books, guys. So future talks with Moscow will determine what the bear is willing to concede, but Rubio signaled that Ukraine must accept tough compromises if it wants the sleeping giant's support. Meanwhile, Donald is pressuring the bear with new sanctions, showing that the U.S. still has leverage in the negotiations. All right. Once again, Rubio's telling Zelensky, hey, you're going to have to give up this territory. And the bear's not going to give him up. The bear lost a lot of soldiers. And, again, this is, what you're going to have to accept. Right? But I don't think Zelensky is going to allow that to happen. He wants Crimea back. He wants those territory back. It says here, you have this next one. Donald Envoy Steve Witkoff to meet with Vladimir in Moscow. The trip signals serious U.S. and the bear negotiations as Donald pushes for a resolution to the Ukraine war and new terms on global security. All right. Zelensky, in a letter to Donald, I'm sorry, Zelensky privately expressed regret over his Oval Office clash with Donald, but stopped short of a full apology. Now, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff says Zelensky sent Donald a letter trying to smooth things over ahead of Saudi Arabia peace talks. But the fallout is real. U.S. military aid and intelligence sharing remain on hold. And Donald isn't budging. He wants Ukraine to prove it's serious about peace before cutting any new deals. All right, so Donald is not messing around. Donald is really furious, again, because he feels like, Zelensky's playing mind games. He's not too serious about ending the war. Okay, so the UK to host virtual summit on Ukraine on March the 15th as peacekeeping plans advance. So you have the UK Prime Minister Starmer will host a virtual summit on March 15 to discuss support for Ukraine, following up on a similar meeting held in London earlier this month. Now, Downing Street confirmed the gathering, which will bring together the world leaders to assess the prospects for Ukraine and ongoing military assistance. You can expect the Prime Minister to host a second leaders meeting of the Coalition of the Willing, building on his Lancaster House Summit. Starmer's spokesperson told reporters, referring to the March 2nd meeting in London. As the UK and France continue discussion on forming a peacekeeping force for Ukraine, they remain the only countries to have publicly committed to sending troops. Other nations are expected to contribute either military personnel or other forms of support, though remember, the bear has shown no willingness to accept such a deployment. So you have 30 countries here. They are willing to send in possibly deployment. But remember, the bear says it ain't going to happen. You guys better get out of here with that stuff. You're not going to be sending soldiers here in Ukraine. And we're just going to see how all this plays out. But it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. So meanwhile, you have Donald has provided little assurances regarding a potential American security guarantees for Ukraine. Addressing recent comments from Donald, Starmer's spokesperson pushed back against the U.S. leader assertion that Ukraine may not survive the biblical war against the bear. We always said that Ukraine at the other end of this process must emerge as a Soviet territory, the spokesperson added, now reinforcing the UK commitment to Ukrainian dependence and territorial integrity. The ongoing diplomatic and military talks between the UK and France aim to outline the structure and responsibility of the proposed peacekeeping force. This week, UK Defense Minister John Healey and Chief of the Defense Staff Tony are scheduled to visit France for separate discussions on Ukraine. Now, in addition, Foreign Secretary David Lammy will meet with G7 counterparts in Canada to further coordinate international support for Kiev. On March the 10th, Lammy also spoke with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andrei how we keep the process for peace moving forward ahead of the discussion in Saudi Arabia. All right, so I got some more information here, but that's where we at. The deployment. All right, that's their, again, discussion. You have other nations are expected to contribute either military personnel or other forms of support. All right, so this is the big one here. That's what they are discussing. But you have the bear has shown no willingness to accept such a deployment. You can't be sending troops there. You can't. Or they will be fed to the mice. That's what he said. I should have never said on this channel. But that's what the bear said. They were referring to Britain. You send those, boots here in Crane, mice is going to have a good time. And yeah, they put out a lot of very disturbing information. So you have all these countries here, except for the sleeping giants. All these countries are willing to send in troops for peacekeeping. Give me a second here, guys. I'm trying to look for some more information. All right, so and then you have this one here. I might bring this one up too. Because Donald's saying, hey, man, you got to go, man. You got to go. So Zelensky must prepare elections, cede territory to end the war, Donald administration said. Let me bring this up really quick, guys. This is something that is very important to talk about because it seems like Zelensky's time is coming. That's it. You got to stop extending martial law. All right. So if you say you are ahead of everyone in the polls, then there's no need for martial law. Let's do this one-on-one. Donald, once again, the White House, wants Ukrainian leader Zelensky to begin planning elections, or else consider stepping down. As a condition for the resumption of the U.S. military aid and intelligence sharing, a fresh NBC report reveals Secretary of State Rubio has also said Monday that Ukraine must cede territory, and we just mentioned that. Ukraine will have to make concession over land that the bear had taken since 2014 as part of any agreement to the biblical war, to end the biblical war. Now, the most important thing that we have to leave here with is a strong sense that Ukraine is prepared to do difficult things, like the bear are going to have to do difficult things to end this conflict, or at least pause it in some way, shape, or form, Rubio told reporters as he flew from the U.S. to Jeddah, as quoted in multiple outlets. Now you have the sleeping giant and Crane officials are meeting in Saudi Arabia. The question of election in Crane, which have been canceled again indefinitely under martial law, has moved to the forefront, also as a pressure is still for Kiev to sign the minerals deal. You know, I'm so shocked that the Mideast does not declare martial law every 24 hours. They see more war than Ukraine. But again, you don't see them declaring martial law. So as Donald demonstrated by reading Zelensky's message at the joint session, the Ukrainians have made positive movement. With meetings in Saudi this coming week, we look forward to hearing more positive movement that will hopefully ultimately end this brutal war. And you know what? The White House National Security Council spokesman Brian said this weekend when asked about Donald requirements. Rubio and Wayad has further explained the important point is this meeting is to establish clearly their intentions, their desire, as they said publicly now numerous times, to reach a point where peace is possible. Rubio said on Tuesday, delegation meeting with the Ukrainians, and then we'll have to determine how far they are from the bare position, which we don't know yet either. And then once you understand where both sides truly are, it gives you a sense of how big the divide is and how hard it's going to be. Now, there's a widespread acknowledgement in Washington that Ukrainian forces will never be able to pry the four annexed territory in the East Bank, in the East back from the bear. So they're talking about Luhansk, Donetsk. Oh man, it's those four territory that was annexed in 2022. It's in the eastern part of Ukraine. So those territory, the bear is gonna take those territory. The bear, they're taking Crimea. They took all that already. So Rubio is telling Zelensky, you lost this territory. You lost it. That's it. Let's just move on and before it gets even worse. The question of Crimea will be something Moscow will also never budge on. And Kiev is likely more willing at this point to give up any future claims on it, which has been the historic home of the bare naval power on the Black Sea. As for the elections, Zelensky's term in office expired in May 2024, and Ukrainian parliament has recently reaffirmed the constitutionality of Zelensky's mandate as leader of the country during wartime. However, Donald last month called him a dictator who canceled elections. And even long before that, called him the world's greatest salesman. And also the most expensive child support in mankind history, as he received hundreds of billions from the sleeping giant and Western allies. Alright, so we're going to skip the rest of this here. But you guys get the picture if you guys just want to pause and just read the rest. But this is where we are right now. So you have world leaders, very, very powerful people, are coming together, discussing possibly sending deployments for peacekeeping. And the bear said if you send them, the rats, the mice are gonna are expecting very disturbing message they put out. But what's next? Well, this is what we have so far. This is the meeting that took place in Saudi Arabia. This is what has been discussed. So I would keep an update on this one here, guys. One thing I tell you, the U.S., they're not involved. They're not involved. Again, Rubio is telling Zelensky, hey, you got to end it before you lose more territories. So those the eastern flank, those territory that was annexed is gone. And there's no way of bringing that back. The bear lost a lot of soldiers. They're not going to be giving that up. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, please share the video. Make sure you check out the video I posted today. The link will be in the comments box. Thank you so much for watching. For those of you that want to send us letters, a prayer request, you can send it to me, US Santiago, or my wife, Jessica Santiago, at 3432 US Highway 19, number 2, Holiday, Florida, 34691. Once again, guys, $1 a month Patreon. We get you access to our live stream every Monday. We talk about things that we cannot talk about in the platform. Also, I posted videos today. Those links will be in the comments box. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you all. Put your faith and trust in Jesus Christ, for He's the only way, the truth, and the life. No one gets to the Father except through Jesus. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time later. Peace.